What's up, golfers? Welcome back to New Night in Golf. Today we're at Modern Golf with head teaching professional Jeremy Maher. We're gonna give you 4 fundamental tips to help you find your golf swing, and at the end of the video, we'll give you 1 bonus tip. Let's get into it. Okay, Jeremy, so it's the start of the golf season for us, and a lot of us are having troubles either in our first round or on the range. We're not really sure where the ball's going. Where should we start in fixing our golf swing?
First tip I would focus on is the grip. Okay. The grip is the most important thing to start the season and in the golf swing. Number one thing is we want to hold the club in our fingers, not in our palm. We want to place that left hand on top of the club, that left thumb down the middle. We'll see a V that's pointing towards our opposite shoulder. Next thing, I'll take my right hand, placing that thumb over top of my left thumb, and you'll notice that there's 2 V's now, and they're both pointing towards my opposite shoulder. There's also 3 different grips. There's the traditional interlock, there's the overlap, and then for juniors and sometimes people with a little bit smaller hands, we can do the baseball grip. The key is having the exact same setup for all of them, where that left thumb is down the middle, right thumb goes over top, and you'll see the 2 V's pointing towards that opposite shoulder. That'll help us keep that club face square on takeaway and at impact. If we have a bad grip, face can get a little bit open, closed, and it's going to produce bad shots.
Okay, Jeremy, so to just recap, I want to grip the club in my fingers, not in my palm.
Correct.
Right, so I'm in the fingers, my thumb comes on top, and it creates a V, and that V's pointing at my back shoulder.
Yes,
so
correct.
I'm right-handed, it's pointed at my right shoulder.
Correct.
When I put my second hand on, I'm going over top of that thumb, and my right thumb is going down and close to the same line as my left thumb.
Correct.
That's also making a V pointing at my right shoulder.
Correct, yep, perfect.
So now I've decided, my own personal preference is I prefer the overlap. So that's what I'm going to work with for this lesson.
Yep, awesome.
Okay, let's get into number 2.
Yep, definitely.
Okay, Jeremy, what's tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is posture. A lot of players have bad posture at the start of the year. They could be hunched over, a little bit too upright, standing too tall. So what we're going to do is take our pitching wedge or club that we're practicing with, we're going to place it behind our back, and we'll feel that slight little crease in our lower back where I can place my hand, if you can see on video here. Next, I'm going to take that and just slightly bend at the hips, then have that slight knee bend. You can see that if I'm standing properly, I'm sticking my butt out. Now I'm going to put my club down on the ground and now take my proper grip, and now we're ready for the next step.
Okay, Jeremy, we're ready for tip number 3. What is it?
Today we're going to work on alignment. That's something that's very important at the start of the season. If we've been practicing indoors, now that we head outside, we have to work on that alignment.
Okay, let's get to the mat. We'll work on it. Okay, Jer, how do we work on our alignment?
So we all have that one buddy that has a tendency to aim 50 yards right of his target and then pulls it across. So simple little drill is what we learned everyone as we're starting out as golfers, a train track drill. What we want to do is put the club on the ground, line up with our feet. Next, we will bring that club up to our hips, make sure it's still parallel, then to our shoulders. So now that we've taken our proper posture, we have them all in sync. This is important because if our feet are too open or closed, we're going to actually screw up our club path. Alignment is very important. So once we're practicing, I would throw that club down on the ground, hit a few shots, and if I need to do a proper adjustment, I would just go behind and readjust my alignment and making sure that we have that train tracks, shoulders, hips, and feet all in sync.
Okay, Jared, to recap tip number 3, alignment. Alignment is important because if we're not aimed properly, if we're not aligned properly, we're not going to be hitting it where we want it.
Correct.
Me personally, I've been chipping in my basement and I've been wide open chipping. So when I go to a line on the driving range, I'm actually like 20 yards left. So when I go to the range, I'm going to put my club in where my intended line is.
Definitely.
I'm going to double check my hips and my shoulders are all on that same line. I'll know right away if my shoulders are either closed or open.
That'll be the indication with that club.
Perfect. So now that we have good alignment, let's get into tip number 4. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash subscribe. We're going to do a ton of cool videos to help you guys become better golfers. Okay, Jay, we're ready for tip number 4. What is it?
Ball position. Ball position at the beginning of the season is very important. A lot of the times we have the ball sometimes too forward or too back of the stance. This can lead to inconsistent strikes.
Perfect. Let's figure it out. We'll go to the mat. Okay, Jared, how do I work on ball position?
So a simple little drill is, if we're on the range, we're going to take an extra club or an alignment stick that we have. We're going to place it down in the middle of our stance and always make sure that we line that ball up with the butt end of the club or the end of the stick. Next thing we're going to do is actually see where the ball is positioned in our stance. What we want to do now is play with that position. So right now it's in the middle with, say, an 8-iron. If you moved it a little bit farther up in the stance, you'll see how that ball flight changes. If we moved it back of the stance, we're going to see how that flight changes. When we're on the range, we need to practice with the purpose, and ball position is one of those simple little drills to work on.
Jeremy, let's talk about ball position specifically for driver. Would we want to tee the driver up far back in our stance, or where do we want ball position typically for driver?
We want to position that ball more off of that front foot. That's why that club on the ground is going to be great to show and feel where the ball is positioned. If the ball is too far back of our stance, especially with the driver, which is the longest club, least amount of loft, we're not able to release that club through impact, and that's why we might see sometimes that face open or blocking it way more to the right for a right-handed golfer.
Okay guys, to recap ball position, we can take an extra club or an alignment stick if you have it, put it in the middle of your stance, and you can get the ball at the end so you can see where your ball position is.
Yep.
You'd recommend with all of your irons, play around with it further back in your stance, to the middle, and further up in your stance. Yep. But driver specifically, we want to keep near the front of our stance.
Yep, it's going to help us get through the ball at impact.
All right, Jared, so far you've taught us better grip, posture, alignment, and ball position. What's our bonus tip?
We're going to start with the take away the golf swing, a simple little drill that'll lead into our next session.
All right, let's go to the man. We'll learn the bonus tip. Okay, Jared, I'm ready for our bonus tip. What are we doing?
So we're going to start with the takeaway. Saw John Daly do this in a Pro-Am a couple years ago. He was swinging with one hand and had a cigarette in his mouth. It was pretty cool to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that left hand, put that down the middle. I'm going to take my right hand and put it in my pocket. And this is going to help train that muscle memory. A lot of golfers, when they start out, they take away and they have the tendency to break that left arm. That leads to inconsistency, thin, heavy shots. So what you're going to do is take that sandwich and we're going to just take it back and you're going to learn how that arm is supposed to feel on takeaway. Then after, if you're feeling comfortable and getting a little bit stronger, you can work on that follow through, which is going to lead into our next session, which is impact, takeaway, and follow through.
Okay, let's give it a try here.
Awesome.
That felt really good. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm having a lot of trouble turning and releasing the ball and being right arm dominant and now having to use my left arm. I think it's really helping bringing everything together.
And for the beginner golfers, it's going to help train that left arm not to break down and build up that muscle memory.
All right, guys, we've learned better grip, posture, alignment, ball position, and you helped us with a better takeaway and releasing of the club. Jeremy's going to be joining us for a series of instructional videos. In our next video, we're going to lead into...
We're going to work on that takeaway, the impact, and the follow through of the golf swing.
So if you guys follow New 9 Golf, make sure you subscribe so you can see our future lessons. Hopefully these made you a better golfer, and we'll check in with you next time.